For the last 20 years, electricity demand in the United States and Europe was basically flat. The population grew. The economy grew. We bought more screens, more devices, more appliances. But because everything became much more energy efficient, LED light bulbs, better insulation, optimized motors, the total amount of electricity we needed barely moved. The grid was stable. The math was predictable. That 20-year era of stability just ended. Violently. And the arena ended is sitting on your phone right now. When you type a search query into Google, it requires roughly 0.3 watt-hours of electricity to process. When you ask ChatGPT or a similar large language model to generate an answer to that exact same prompt, it requires approximately 2.09 watt-hours. That is nearly 10 times the electricity for a single query. Now, multiply that by hundreds of millions of users. Then add the energy required not just to run the models, but to train them, which involve running tens of thousands of specialized GPUs at maximum capacity for months at a time. Then add the cooling systems required to keep those chips from melting themselves into slag. What you get is an infrastructure crisis that almost nobody outside of the energy sector saw coming. We are no longer just building software. We are engaging in an arms race of thermodynamics. And the physical world is struggling to keep up. To understand why this is a systemic economic and geopolitical problem, you have to look at the physical reality of a data center. A modern hyperscale AI data center is not a warehouse with some servers in it. It is a massive industrial facility that consumes the same amount of power as a mid-sized city. In places like Northern Virginia, which is currently the data center capital of the world, the concentration of these facilities has put such immense strain on the local power grid that utility companies have had to warn about potential rolling blackouts. In Ireland, data centers now consume roughly 20% of the country's entire electricity output. By 2028, that number is projected to hit nearly 30%, one industry consuming a third of a sovereign nation's power. This presents a massive math problem for the global economy, because building a data center takes about 1 to 2 years. Building the high-voltage transmission lines to bring new power to that data center takes anywhere from 5 to 10 years, due to permitting, environmental reviews, and supply chain bottlenecks. And building a new nuclear power plant to generate that baseline power can take over a decade. The speed of AI software development is colliding head-on with the speed of heavy civil engineering, and heavy civil engineering is losing. This is why the financial behavior of the world's largest tech companies has suddenly shifted. Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are no longer just software companies. They are quietly becoming some of the largest energy investors on the planet. They are not waiting for public utilities to solve the grid problem. They cannot afford to. Amazon recently purchased a data center campus in Pennsylvania that is plugged directly into a nuclear power plant. Microsoft is investing heavily in next-generation geothermal energy and exploring small modular nuclear reactors. These companies realize that the bottleneck for artificial intelligence in the 2020s and 2030s will not be coding talent. It will not be algorithms. The bottleneck will be electricity. If you do not have the power, you cannot run the compute. If you cannot run the compute, you lose the AI race. It is that simple. And this brings us to the geopolitical layer, because energy is never just about economics. It is always about power. In the 20th century, geopolitical power was heavily concentrated around the countries that controlled oil. The internal combustion engine dictated the map of global influence. In the 21st century, as AI becomes the dominant economic engine, geopolitical advantage is shifting toward the regions that can provide massive amounts of cheap, stable, clean, baseload electricity. This changes the map entirely. Countries with massive geothermal capacity, like Iceland, regions with abundant hydroelectric power, like Quebec or parts of Scandinavia, nations in the Middle East that are currently using their vast capital reserves to build out some of the largest solar infrastructure projects on Earth, transitioning from exporting liquid energy to exporting computational power. The geography of the AI revolution is not Silicon Valley. It is wherever the power grid can handle the load. And this brings us to the second massive physical bottleneck. Copper. You cannot upgrade a power grid, build a data center, or wire a transformer without copper. It is the vascular system of the electrified world. According to commodity analysts, the world is heading toward a severe structural shortage of copper. To meet the combined demands of the electric vehicle transition, renewable energy grids, and the AI data center boom, the world needs to produce more copper in the next 25 years than it has mined in all of human history combined. But discovering a new copper deposit and bringing it into production takes on average 16 years. The demand curve is pointing straight up. The supply curve is moving at the speed of digging holes in the ground. When those two curves intersect, prices explode. And when the price of copper explodes, the cost of everything electrical explodes with it. This is the hidden tax of the AI boom. The narrative we have been sold about the digital economy is that it is ethereal. It lives in the cloud. It is weightless. It is frictionless. But the cloud is not a cloud. The cloud is a 1,000,000-square-foot concrete bunker in a desert, filled with screaming, cooling fans drawing hundreds of megawatts of power, connected by thousands of miles of copper wire, fueled by coal, natural gas, or uranium. The digital world is entirely dependent on the physical world, and the physical world has limits. So what does this mean for you? For your career, your investments, your understanding of the next decade? It means that if you are only looking at the software, you are missing the foundation. For investors, the infrastructure required to support AI, the energy generation, the grid components, the cooling technologies, the raw commodities like copper and uranium, represents a capital expenditure cycle unlike anything we have seen since the build-out of the internet in the late 1990s. Trillions of dollars are moving into heavy physical infrastructure. For people navigating careers, it is a reminder that as the world becomes more digital, the value of people who can build, manage, and scale the physical systems that keep the digital world running is going to skyrocket. Software engineers build the models, but electrical engineers, supply chain logistics experts, and energy analysts make it possible to turn those models on. We are entering an era of resource competition that looks completely different from the resource wars of the past. It is not a fight over territory. It is a fight over capacity. The future belongs to whoever can keep the lights on while everyone else is running out of power. 10 times the electricity. For a single question, next time you ask AI to write an email or generate an image, remember what is happening behind the screen. You are not just talking to a machine. You are turning on a power plant.